And during Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's successful re-election campaign, his right-wing government imposed sanctions that have pushed the authority toward financial crisis. The deducted sum represents the amount of money paid by the authority, which exercises limited self-rule in the West Bank, to families of Palestinians convicted and jailed by Israel for security offenses, including lethal attacks on Israelis. Israel calls the stipends a pay-for-slay policy. Palestinians hail their jailed brethren as heroes in a struggle for an independent state and their families as deserving of support. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has refused to accept the partial tax remittances from Israel, saying the PA is entitled to all the money under interim peace deals. Already facing international donor fatigue, the Palestinians were dealt a heavy blow by the Trump administration's cut last year of hundreds of millions of dollars of aid. In February, the U.S. Agency for International Development announced it had ceased all assistance to the West Bank and Gaza. Palestinian suspicions over the still-secret U.S. proposals, due to be announced in June, and defiance of Israeli sanctions continue to run deep despite the arm-twisting. Salary cuts, unless they find a solution, it will be a disaster for the Palestinian economy, Asili said. With Trump's deal of the century about to be unveiled, Tarek Bakoni, an analyst with the International Crisis Group, questioned the wisdom of Washington's financial pressure on the Palestinians. Such a strategy, he said, stemmed from the misguided belief that economic benefits could be sufficiently compelling for Palestinians to relinquish their political demands. One of the architects of the Trump plan, the president's advisor and son-in-law Jared Kushner, declined to say in public remarks in Washington last week whether it called for a two-state solution, a goal of past efforts to end the Israeli-Palestinian dispute. Netanyahu further clouded the statehood issue when he said during the election race that he would annex Israeli settlements in the West Bank if he wins, a move that Palestinian leaders said would kill any prospects of peace. Risks for both sides. While both sides await the U.S. proposals, the financial sanctions on the Palestinian Authority could be a double-edged sword, posing risks to its stability and for Israel as well. For Israel, weakening the Palestinian Authority could have an impact on Palestinian security forces that cooperate with the Israeli military in the West Bank. Israel takes it for granted that it has not experienced any major terrorist attack for years now, said Avraham Sella, Professor Emeritus of International Relations at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Coordination with the PA is invaluable for Israel's security, he said. But, he said on Israel's Rashit TV, withholding tax revenues equivalent to the sums of stipends and pensions being paid to terrorists is justifiable. Catastrophic cuts. In the West Bank city of Ramallah, Kadham Harb, 50, who works in the economy ministry, said the salary reductions have forced him to delay loan payments. We are cutting back on everything. We only buy basic things, Harb said. A police officer in Gaza, who asked to be identified only by his first name, Ahmed, said his wages were slashed by 65% in March. Salary cuts? Please say, catastrophic cuts. I haven't been able to pay my son's university tuition this semester, said Ahmed, 39. Donor countries and institutions have stepped in to try to plug the growing budget deficit. At Abbas's urging, the Arab League at a meeting in Cairo last week promised $100 million per month to the PA. Those pledges would add to an increase in funds from Gulf Arab states following the U.S. cuts. Saudi Arabia in 2018 gave $222 million to the authority, up from $92 million in 2017, the World Bank said. Kuwait contributed $53 million last year.